Liberty fans, I think, can sense it right now. To go, inbound to Weatherspoon with one. Weatherspoon puts up the three. It's no good!
The Liberty Flames are still dancing.
Fan the Flames to the biggest victory in school history.
Georgia to inbound, gets to the AC. Deep three, pull up. He baked it in! He baked it in!
Shot at the buzzer. Good! It's good! It's good! It's Woodward!
Larry Blair reverse layup up and in, and he's fouled.
Man, you talk about degree of difficulty.
With two, Georgie at the buzzer. Got it! He got it!
Darius McKay, a game for the ages.
And Liberty wins 4 games in the Big South Tournament to take home the 2013 crown.
Look at Bio Baxter now.
25 for Colin Porter.
Holmesley, splash!
Shiloh Robinson with an effort play.
And Liberty keeps on coming.
A huge basket by Kyle Rome.
Got it! Pacheco with the 3.
Liberty, put your dancing shoes on.
Well, hello, good evening, and welcome to the ASOR Red Podcast. I am your host, John Manson, alongside Will Matthews. We're going to drive the ship tonight. We don't have our typical captain with us, as Nick Kirby is doing something with spring training or something. I don't know. He's headed down to Arizona. I think I saw he was in the Grand Canyon over the weekend, but we're ready to go. We got a big show lined up. Will, how you feeling tonight, man?
I'm good, man. It's I didn't even know they had baseball in March. I thought March was just all about March Madness. So, hey, we're gonna we miss Kirby, and hopefully he's having a good time. And but we're gonna talk a little basketball without him tonight. So I'm pumped up for where we are at this point in the year. It is March Madness time.
It definitely is, and man, we got a big show. I talked about it just then, but one of the greatest of all times joining us, Larry Blair. For those of you Liberty students or newer Liberty fans may not be familiar with him, but he held the Liberty D1 all-time scoring record for a long time until Darius McKay came through, and with a little bit of help from the COVID year, was able to break that record, but led the Flames to the 2004 Big South Championship and NCAA tournament. We'll talk to him. Coach McKay. Great time to get him as we get lined up for Conference USA tournament down in Huntsville, Alabama this week. Matt Warner is also going to join us. He'll be calling the games down in Huntsville, or some of them. He's also been calling all the games for Liberty this year. So we got a live show, a big show, a loaded show. Lot to talk about. We're going to recap this last week in Flames basketball, and then we're going to spend most of the time talking about the upcoming tournament in Huntsville. But, Will, we're locked and loaded, full show. You got anything that can help you get through tonight?
Man, we got a super show. I don't have anything with me tonight, but I'll tell you a quick story. This morning, was away for the weekend, and this got back late last night. And this morning, my wife was like, "Hey, you going to fix any coffee?" And I was like, I wasn't really going to, because had to get to church on time, had to get the kids ready. And I was thinking, well, I probably wasn't going to make any, because what we have in the cabinet, really, some coffee I don't really like that much. So I went in there to look for it anyway. And I realized that I had a whole bag of Ironclad coffee I had not opened yet. So it was the perfect day to open up the Ironclad, get it brewing. It gave us a good wake up, a good start for that lost hour that we had, and to get ready to go to church, and carried me through till this show right now, John.
Yeah, we appreciate Ironclad Coffee. They're there in Richmond. Stop by if you're local, or you can also order online on ironcladcoffee.com. Big supporters of the Liberty Flames, big supporter of ASOR Red and this podcast, so we appreciate them. But like we said, big show. I'll be heading down to Huntsville this week for the Conference USA tournament. So be sure to subscribe to our channel if you haven't already, and turn on notifications and give us a like, a share, wherever you may be listening to or watching this podcast tonight. it helps us out a lot. So, Will, let's without further ado, before we get Larry Blair in here to talk some Liberty basketball, let's look back at these last two games. It started off, Liberty entered the week, could finish as high as number 3 as far as seeding scenarios went, and as low as, I guess, number 9, or certainly be in that playing game, the 8-9 game, depending on how tiebreakers went, with the bottom half of the standings kind of all jumbled up there. But started at Middle Tennessee Tuesday night. Flames led a lot of the way, but kind of, as we've seen throughout much of the conference play, struggled down the stretch, especially on the road, and fell 69-61 against the Blue Raiders. Any main takeaways as you look back almost a week ago now to that loss at Middle Tennessee?
Yeah, it feels like forever ago. The big thing was turnovers. Again, it's just taking care of the basketball. Not, you lose only by 8 points. You keep some of those turnovers at bay. 3-point field goal percentage was not good. So, and Middle Tennessee State, we're shooting. They shot 44% from 3. So, man, just still right there in the game. You just kind of get in a hole, and it's hard to dig out sometimes. And it wasn't the biggest hole as some of the games that we've seen them have to dig out of, but still, just the turnovers, the 3-point shots, it just kind of put Liberty at a disadvantage in a game that, on the road, but still a winnable road game.
Yeah, I think it was a game that Liberty certainly could have won, but as we talked about so much this year is, 1-7 now in road games and conference play. And anytime you go on the road and you shoot 29% from 3 for this team, for this year's version of the Flames, or most years under Coach McKay, that's just difficult, right? I mean, you're going to have a hard time winning games in this league on the road. When you struggle from 3, especially below 30% clip, and that's what we saw Tuesday night, and the Blue Raiders were able to get the win, and it really, after that game, I was really kind of feeling like, oh man, we're destined for that 8-9 games, kind of how it felt coming out of it, and Liberty had lost 4 or 5 at the time, and had the regular season finale on Saturday afternoon. Against Western Kentucky, a team that was already locked into the 3 seed, so you didn't know how that game was going to go. But obviously, Liberty was able to pull out the win. Senior night is a big night for both of the seniors. Kyle Rowe tied his career high 31 points, tied his career high with 7 made 3-pointers. Shiloh Robinson had a season high with what did he end up, 14 points. He made all 3 of his 2-point shots, and it was 1 of 2 from 3. Had a big 3 there as Western Kentucky wouldn't go away, but Liberty was able to prevail 82-79. And when we woke up Saturday, we had those tiebreaker scenarios come out, and it was like, I don't know, you might need a doctorate degree like you got, Reverend, to try to figure out what all was going on. But the easiest thing to tell was Liberty loses, they're locked in that 8-9 game, and a win, it could have been anywhere from 4 to 8, depending on where the rest of the games went Saturday afternoon as Conference USA round out the regular season. But Liberty got the win, and it was really one of those games. Felt like Kyle Rowe was just like, hey, it's my last time playing at Liberty Arena. I'm going to make sure we get the win. Did you kind of see the same thing? And I think you were in attendance too, weren't you?
Yeah, I was at the game. Yeah, I mean, it was you must have a doctorate in this, because you did kind of do some of the work to figure out the scenarios, and you sent that to us in a text. And I was looking at that thinking, my goodness, like, how wild is it that you could finish 4th or you could finish 8th? I mean, like, I don't know that we've ever really been in a position like that, at least not recently. But yeah, I was in attendance for the game, and can't say enough about Kyle Rowe. He had a career high in rebounds against Middle Tennessee State, and then just was relentless offensively against Western Kentucky. And I was watching that game, and John, I actually was at the men's conference at Thomas Road this weekend, which is why we were there. And we were getting ready to be late for our next session. And so we left with about 11 seconds left in the game, and Liberty was up by like 5 or 6. And I can't remember who it was, but they were at the free throw line for Liberty. And I was like, man, we got to get back. Like, it's starting to rain a little bit harder. And Liberty's got this one put away. And then I looked at my phone because I was going to hit yes, Liberty won. And I saw that we were only up by one with or one or two with 5 seconds left. And I thought, what in the world did I miss in 6 seconds? So a gritty win. That's the kind of win that, I think you kind of want to see as you go into a conference tournament game.
Yeah, it was one of those things that it felt like Liberty was going to kind of escape with a somewhat of a comfortable win. They got the lead out to 10 there in the second half, and but Western Kentucky wouldn't go away. And credit to them, they're a really good team. They got the number 3 seed for good reason, and I think they're one of those teams. We'll talk about it more in a few minutes when we preview the Conference USA tournament. But they're one of the teams that I think can cut down the nets in Huntsville this week. And they're coming in, limping a little bit. They lost 4 straight, so we'll see if they're able to right the ship. But it was a big win for Liberty, and they had to dodge it there at the end. I mean, Western Kentucky had the ball with, I think it was less than 5 seconds to play, down by 3. They were inbounding under Liberty's basket and weren't able to get a shot off, kind of lost the ball right as the buzzer sounded. So it was nice to get out of there with a win, get to 7-9, get the 4 seed. And all in all, it's a win. The seniors kind of carried them to the win. You like to see that on senior day, and kind of go out high, and hopefully they'll have another good week this week. But anyways, Will, that's the last 2 games. Those are in the rear view. We're going to look ahead to this coming week, and should be a lot of fun to talk to Mr. Larry Blair, here in a few minutes. But we'll get to him right after this word from our guys at Ironclad.
Virginia's best and most flames-friendly coffee comes from Ironclad Coffee Roasters. Ironclad roasts and serves up their beautiful beans at 2 cafes in Richmond, where you can enjoy their craft roasted specialty beans anywhere in the country by visiting www.ironcladcoffee.com. Place your order there, and it will be directly shipped to your doorstep. Whenever you find yourself in the capital of the Commonwealth, pay them a visit at one of their 2 cafes in the Richmond area. Ironclad's owners, the O'Rourke family, are proud Flames Club members and season ticket holders, and now they're pleased to sponsor the podcast from CRA. Hop over to www.ironcladcoffee.com now to get your Virginia's best specialty coffee headed your way.
Well, John, right now we are joined by the legend himself, the Liberty Flames Hall of Famer who took Liberty to the championship for the Big South in 2004, on to the big dance against St. Joe's. Second time the program had ever been into the big dance. The only guy in program history who earned all Big South honors all 4 years of his playing career. He was the complete player on defense. He was locked down. He had the 3-shot. He could drive to the basket. The mid-range floater that he had, I'm sure it made a lot of players cry when they had when they knew that Larry Blair was stepping on the court. Larry, how are you, man?
I'm doing well. Thank you for that great introduction. I wish I could have lived up to that, but I appreciate it anyway. Everything's well. Everything's well.
Good.
Hey, Larry, appreciate you joining us. I think Will and I were both students when you were at Liberty, and I think I was a year or 2 there before you with Coach Dunton, and he kind of got that program turned around after the previous years. The team kind of struggled, but you came in there as a freshman, and I'll never forget the day, that 2004 Big South Championship game, that Saturday, waiting outside to get into the Vines early and racing down the stairs to get a front row seat to watch all the action right there behind the bench. It's one of my best memories from my college years, one of my best memories as a Liberty fan. And man, you put on a show that night. What was it, 29 points I think you had that night? And I don't know if it goes down in the record books as you winning the Big South tournament MVP. I know it should have happened. Danny Gathings from High Point ended up giving you that award after I think he won it. But man, what an amazing environment that game was. You guys just, what was it, 89-44, I think, over High Point, just completely steamrolled over those guys. But take us back to that game, and you were a freshman. And what are some of your memories of that game, that day, and that experience?
I still get goosebumps thinking about it sometimes. Just the energy from the fan support to start off. I think we fed off of the fan support a lot. That was at that time the most attendance we had. I think it's around 9,000, close to 9,000. It just, they were in there rocking the house, man. And just every time we made a shot or made a play defensively or offensively, they just erupted. And, in that type of environment, especially if you're not used to playing in one, it could be disturbing. And they fed. I know me personally, I fed off that energy that day. Just going into that tournament, each game, like I was kind of scared to lose. So I had a focus where, I wanted to do everything I could have to just try to win, a championship. That's the biggest thing. I know the MVP I did not receive, but my biggest goal was to win the championship. So that goal was accomplished that day. And my teammates, man, everybody played, out of their minds that day, from the first to the last person. Coaches did a great job preparing us for that game. And I think before High Point blinked, it was over and we were just rolling.
Yeah. Well, what was that? I remember, John, I agree with you. Those were just like great times. I remember just, about the time that conference play came around, like it seemed like the Vines was packed every night, and we were all trying to get there early to watch. And I remember probably the day after or whatever the tournament, and we found out that Danny was the MVP. I think everybody was like, "What in the world is that possible?" Like, clearly Larry was the MVP, but man, like the next week at convocation, he was there and he handed you the trophy. How did that come about? Like, did he call you? Did somebody from High Point call you? And how was your relationship with him before and after?
Before the relationship, we had a slight relationship due to just competing. And my family, as well as his family, had mutual respect for one another's being at the game and respected the way we played the games. And that's how that, I guess, foundation was kind of bonded. But I found out maybe just as close in time as everybody else. It wasn't nothing that was kind of predetermined, at least on, from my understanding. And that was a very courageous move for him. He ended up getting a bigger award, if there's one, at the end of the season, for making that noble gesture. I forgot exactly what it was, but it was for that moment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it was
maybe like
great.
a sportsmanship award or something
like
that.
Yeah, it was one of the sportsmanship awards.
Yeah, that's cool. But Larry, as we kind of Liberty this year, this team's getting ready to go into the Conference USA tournament, and I look at college basketball. It's almost like 3 seasons in one, right? You got your non-conference, before New Year's, and then you switch over to conference play, and then conference tournaments, kind of like a fresh start, if you will. Mm-hmm. How different is it? Obviously, it feels like conference play. It kind of ratchets it up the intensity level a little bit, but it feels like when you get to conference tournament, I mean, it's win or go home in a one bid league like Liberty is in. Is that how it is for the players and the team?
Oh, absolutely. And like you guys were stating before, how one game could have dictated the position and where Liberty would have been this season. Those games are very important, high magnitude. And, the first part of the season is kind of just to work the kinks out, get everybody on the same page, build that chemistry. And once conference play hit, no matter where you are in the current polls, that first and last matchup can still go, either way, because so much time is put in for preparation. These guys in and out, and it's just tough. It's tough. And then when the conference tournament rolls around, it's win or go home. So now the stakes are even greater. And for that one bid, everybody's fighting tooth and nails to try to get there.
Yeah. What's the biggest thing, for this team that we currently have now has got a lot of young guys, and a lot of them playing for the first time in a conference tournament, one or two times, and the ones that have played in it before have never played in Conference USA tournament.
Right.
Before. So, what as a young player, like, what do you kind of look forward to? What is it? What are the things that you're trying to accomplish that will prepare you for the next season?
Well, the first thing to be successful for here is leadership. They have great leadership from the coaching staff all the way to the seniors of the team. Y'all stated that, and I was able to watch the last few games towards the end of the season where the leadership from the seniors stepped up, and those guys who are willing to learn and have their own confidence within themselves, it builds. They follow the leaders, and I believe they have great leadership at Liberty. So I'm confident that at this point in time, they will really turn it up a notch to be successful.
Larry, and take us back to catch us up what you've been doing. I mean, you were at Liberty, what, 04 to 08 or something like that. And I tried to follow you as best I could. I know you played overseas for, 12, 15 years, something like that. And I think your career is over now, but what are you doing now? And what was it like playing professionally?
No, it was great. I was blessed to play 11 years. It was for one, a culture shock when I first started, but it was a great experience. I was able to take myself out of my comfort zone and really just become one with whatever country I was in, from learning languages to trying local dishes, to meeting new friends, crossing paths with people I probably never imagined, seeing, monuments that I may see in history books to actually stand in front of them. It was great. But I had, from that point where I played my last year, 2018, had my trucking company, Team Blair Trucking, was over the road for a few years, had, built a nice team, and now currently a teacher and a basketball coach at Bradford Charter School here in Charlotte, North Carolina. I just finished my third season. We finally made it to the States, lost a heartbreaker first round, but this season was great with the guys I had. The most wins in school history, beat a couple of opponents we've never beaten before, the most wins in the season. So just trying to build there, and now help coaching with Team United here in Charlotte, my son, third grade team. So always moving. And then have my youngest son, Landon. He's about to turn 3 next month. And just me, I call him Twa, he's Larry the third, but him and my wife, Natalie, we just all enjoying life, being the best parents we can be, and just laying the foundation to be great examples for our kids and those in the community. Also train as well with my Team Blood training.
That's awesome, Larry. So one thing, Liberty's got a bunch of guys playing overseas even now. Caleb Holmesley, Scotty James, several other guys, Georgie Pacheco-Ortiz. When you're over there in Europe or wherever you're playing, do you guys typically all speak English when you're on the court, when you're hanging out around the team, or what's that like?
Really depends on where you're located. And the reason is because, say when I was living in France, France, they're so prideful in a good way, where they want you to try to take in the culture. So even though they may know English, they just want to see you attempting to try to learn French. I ran into this a few times where I'm trying to pick up the language, but, I'm sure I'm sounding kind of foolish. But, they may laugh and choke a bit. They see that I appreciate, being there, and I'm trying to learn the language, and they're speaking English or whatever. But some countries, English is not one of the second languages. So when that barrier is there, which I've experienced before, it's just a lot of hand gestures. Now they have Google Translation, so that's easier. But a lot of hand gestures, is broken English from them, and us trying to pick any words we can just to make it make sense so they can understand what we're trying to communicate. But it's fun. It's fun. If you open your mind to trying to actually learn the language, even though it may be difficult, because some of those languages I know I had some trouble with.
Yeah, I'm in the process of trying to learn Spanish right now. It'll be nice when I can hold a conversation with somebody else that doesn't speak my own language. But
right.
Quick question for you. I can't remember what year it was, but there was a Big South tournament that I think you guys were playing at Winthrop, and me and Kirby, and who's on this show with us, we traveled down to Winthrop and watched you guys played, and we were sitting right beside your parents.
My mom, I know it.
And I remember I wasn't trying to listen to her conversation, but she was talking to somebody, and I just overheard she was talking about your commitment to play at Liberty when you had opportunities to maybe go other places and stuff. And in today's culture, you see kids transferring all the time and stuff like that. But just talk about, like, what was it about Liberty and the program and the coaching staff that made you stick around all 4 years?
That's funny you asked that question. Just today, I was speaking to my friend actually my cousin Travis, who played at VMI, Travis Holmes, about now versus when we played, and just decisions to stay at Liberty. But for one, I felt from before my commitment to Liberty that it was the place that I needed to be successful. For one was the Christian background that Liberty had. At that point in time, turning 18, I had just given my life to Christ. So that was a main factor. And then from an academic standpoint, I finally got on the right track. And I was trying to go somewhere where I could stay focused at academically as well. But I did. I had many different opportunities to go elsewhere, even after my first year. So, yeah, playing in today's age, not saying I would have gone, but that's just the normal right now. Which is good and bad, pros and cons to that. But the coaching staff, I enjoyed the coaching staff. It wasn't the time that I did think about leaving because I was so committed and dedicated to my goals of trying just to win there at Liberty. I had an opportunity before Liberty to choose another school. And, I'm a person who sometimes loyal, but, at fault being a lawyer. But for my commitment there, I didn't want to go anywhere else to play. I wanted to win there. I didn't want to try to chase success. I wanted to bring success there and make Liberty known for its basketball program.
Well, Larry, I think you did that. 2004 is a year I'll never forget. It was a lot of fun. And even the next couple of years, you guys, chased that success and had some success in the Big South. We're unable to cut down nets a second time. I know that's something you wish you probably have back.
Absolutely.
But hey, Absolutely. It was a lot of fun following you. And you're one of the legends at Liberty. And we'll always remember what you did on the court. And thank you for your time. But, hey, Larry, thanks for joining us tonight. And, hopefully the Flames can have some of that success that you guys had back in 2004 this week in Huntsville.
I believe it. I believe the coaching staff will get them guys ready, and they're successful. The guys who's been there, they possess that leadership to make everybody be ready. So go Flames. Best of luck to you guys moving forward, and go and cut the nets down, and we'll see you.
Thanks so much, Larry.
Thank you guys for having me. Thank you.
Thank you for coming on. Thank you for coming on.
Yes, sir.
All right, good stuff. Let's get this ad from Jason Porter, and then we got another special guest, Coach McKay, joining us.
Well, hey, everybody. My name is Jason Porter. I'm with Legacy Realty and Development, and it's been a great partnership here with Sea of Red lately. I was with Liberty Athletics as the Associate Athletic Director for Sports Medicine, so took care of all of the healthcare needs and coordinated that with a fantastic staff at Liberty in the athletic department, of course, for about 5 or 6 years, and then moved into real estate full time and with Legacy Realty and Development. And it's just been a great pleasure to continue to stay connected with my Liberty University family and the athletics family as well. Been enjoying serving them. A lot of the graduate assistants and some of the staff that I hired has come back now and has been using me for residential services, which I really appreciate. But certainly do residential real estate as far as buying and selling of homes, of course. And then also we have a strong commercial presence as well. So commercial real estate, obviously a very, very different animal than is residential. But whether it's buying and selling commercial properties or just the leasing of properties, we can help with that as well. So it's been a great opportunity to service our commercial clients as well. And then certainly on the investment front too, a number of folks who have discovered the power of passive income through real estate and investing in real estate with rental properties or fix and flips, those kind of things. And so great joy to serve my clients in that capacity as well. The other thing that I would add too is just a very, very full Rolodex at this point of contractors and subs and just different professional contacts that I've made through the years. So if I can ever provide any of those folks to you when all of a sudden you need a plumber or an electrician or a contractor to build your deck, whatever, I'd certainly be glad to give you access to that Rolodex and those references as well. Because a lot of times it's not exactly who you know, it's who you know that knows how to do the job well. And so I would be glad to provide those services for you as well. So love Flames Nation, love taking care of my Liberty family. And if there's ever anything I can do for you, my contact information is all right here on the screen. And I would love to be a service to you and yours. Thanks so much.
We are back, and we are pleased to be joined by Liberty head coach Richie McKay. Coach, thanks for joining us. It feels like having this lost hour of sleep in March is got to be a worst enemy for college basketball coaches in March Madness. Would you agree with that?
I think we've lost a lot of sleep over the course of a season, John. How are you guys? Will, John, good to see you, man. Thanks for having me on.
We're doing great. Glad to have you join us.
It's that time of year, isn't it? I've been watching a bunch of games a day, and a little unusual for us because in the past, 5-6 years, we would either be playing on this day or would be finished by now. And now we're in the week with all the big boys, the ACC and the SEC, the Big Ten, and so I've gotten a chance to watch some of the other tournaments. Happy for Donnie Jones and the Hatters, their first time ever in the dance, and I know what an exhilarating feeling that is. So, it's been fun to kind of catch up on some of the comrades that I have across the country. And it's March Madness, isn't it? Like some 1 seeds have already gone down, and I think that's just par for the course. It's the norm once we get into this time of year.
I'm sure Donnie Jones was glad to see you guys leave so he could have a chance at it. But
no.
Do you think this time of year is this time of year, obviously, as a fan, like we get excited about it, or is this something that you get excited about, or is it just a little bit more stressful for you?
No, I mean this is the crescendo of what we work for. Like we feel like in our program, one of the things we really try and emphasize on a daily basis is just getting better, and that continual improvement. It's never more tested than in your conference tournament, because typically you'll play in a one bid league when you're not in one of those high major Power 5 conferences, and so the pressures that comes with that. So, well, I can't wait. I'm looking forward to it. I think if you polled all 9 head coaches in the league, they tell you that this is anybody's tournament. Anyone has a chance to win, but because it's so balanced and there's so much parity, like you could be done in 40 minutes. So I think the urgency in which you approach it and the freedom in which you play with, I think is really important to this week's games.
Coach, you mentioned the balance and the parity in this league, and it's something we've talked about all season long. But, going into that final day on Saturday, I mean, you guys could have been anywhere from the 4 seed all the way down to the play-in game, which is such a wild swing because, you're talking about, a league that's so balanced where you had, 6 teams, I think, separated by 3 games in the conference standings at the end of the day. You could have, having to play that 4th game if you were in that play-in game compared to 3 is such a drastic difference. But, ultimately you guys ended up tied for 4th, 4-way tie, I believe it was, and got the 4 seed, thanks in part to your win over Louisiana Tech and also Sam Houston, who were the 1 and the 2 respectively. How much, going into the season, we talked about the home road splits and how good teams are at home, but now we're on a neutral site this week in Huntsville. I mean, do you just throw all that out the window? It doesn't really matter. I mean, you may be the 4 seed, but you're playing against a UTEP team who just beat you on your home floor a week ago. You just kind of throw all that out. Is it like a new season, a start to a new season this week?
Yeah, John, I wish I could tell you. I think it's a great question, more than fair. For us, again, the last 6 years, other than the COVID year when we played at North Florida, and there were no fans there. I mean, there were families but couldn't have been more than 100 people at the games. We've either played on the road or at home. So it's just been like the norm and what the regular season is like. So I haven't, been in the Mountain West and in the ACC, like when you're on a neutral floor, it just seems different. Like you feel the urgency. There's no real advantage unless you're playing Duke and Carolina and Greensboro. And I think for your players, it really comes down to how connected you are. Obviously this time of year, the elite teams execute. And I think we've been a little inconsistent just in our execution, but I think it's been the drastic change in leagues that has precipitated that. Yet, and John, when we're in our true identity, we got a chance, and we got a chance against anyone. I really believe that. But so I know matchups play a big deal. Like, I couldn't tell you who I'd rather play. Different when you're playing El Paso and New Mexico State, or in Las Cruces and El Paso, because there's altitude. We've traveled like a day and a half to get there. Like, everybody's the same here. We're all going to go the day before and play our given games, and we'll see who does a better job of trying to be in their true identity.
Coach, I got to be at Liberty Arena yesterday for the last home game, and Kyle and Shiloh put a nice bow on their time at Liberty Arena, and how much what a blessing it is for you to be able to coach your son too, and coach your sons, I guess I should say, but yeah. and I know you probably see Kyle and Shiloh, and you probably love them like sons too. How much would it mean to see Gabe and Kyle and Shiloh cut down some nets here in the next week or so?
Oh man, thanks for the question, Will, and thanks for coming to the game. I was a little worried, to be honest, spring break starting and us not having the usual quest for a conference regular season crown. I was worried, but I thought Flames Nation showed out and showed up. That was really nice. I can't really put into words what it's like coaching your sons. It's one thing in what you guys get to see when you get to the arena and you notice, oh, that's coach's son or that's his dad. It's another thing when you get them there for practice every day. They don't live at home anymore, but they're in our culture sessions. You travel with them. You get a chance to do life with them. And I just think for Gabriel, who came to Liberty because he wanted to cut nets, I think it would mean so much for him, if we were fortunate enough to get to a championship game and then win it. And then Kyle and Shiloh, they haven't been since their freshman year. So the year after that, the COVID hit and we didn't get a chance to go to an NCAA tournament. So I think for everyone in our program, we realize that this is a unique opportunity that we get to have because it's Kyle, Shiloh, and potentially Gabriel's last season. And we'll never journey again together as a group. Every team is different on an annual basis. So I think we're looking forward to it, Will. And I can't tell you how blessed I've been to the men that have walked through our doors in our men's basketball program and that have trampled on our campus. And they've just been unbelievable representatives of their families and of our program. So it's been our privilege as a coaching staff, I know I speak for all of them, to have an opportunity to be a part of their stories. And we've talked about Shiloh and Kyle and the legacy they've left. And although Gabriel didn't get a chance to play as much, he's certainly had a huge impact on Liberty basketball since he's been here.
Coach, your team's the only one in Conference USA that beat both Louisiana Tech and Sam Houston this year. You went 1-1 against everybody in the league except for Jacksonville State, which somehow they ended up in the 8th spot, which a little bit odd. Nobody would have thought that. Certainly not the Flames after playing them 2 times. But as you get ready to make that trek down to Huntsville this week, are there a couple things that you're focusing on, harping on with the team this week as you're preparing for that? I know a lot of times it comes down to, just can you make shots? I mean, not to go back and look at the Kennesaw game last year, but, if Darius makes 1 or 2 threes, you guys are still playing in the NCAA tournament. But, is it as simple as you just got to make shots, or is there a couple things that you're focusing on this week?
Yeah, John, by the way, did Darius win today?
They lost in overtime,
Oh, yeah?
but he got in and got a few minutes, got a 3-pointer. I think he's dealing with a little bit of a lower leg injury, so they limited his minutes some.
Yeah, I'm sure it was good to see him. Wish I could have gone today, but you mentioned Darius last year. You know, how many of us would I don't think we ever saw a Darius over game from behind the arc, and of all times to do it. And then sure enough, as Darius could only do it, the first shot of the game against Villanova, he drains a 32-footer. And so you're thinking, man, D, could you have done that last weekend? But no, I think for us, and again, I believe this is true about every coach in their locker room. I think there's a belief that anyone can beat anyone. So we'll keep doubling down, John, on who we are as a program. You know, obviously, most of the time the attention is how well we shoot it from three, but we do other things well enough on given nights to win the game. And you know, when the game is really physical and people have just tried to live in the paint against us, play over the top of our guards, and we built in some counters of that. So I hope we're a little bit better at executing that on Thursday. We'll need to be because UTEP's playing as well as anyone in the league. Camper had a great game against us. They have 4 guys that can really, really score. I think Hardy's a first-team all-conference player, and Frazier's really good. They went to him the first play of the game. He really attacked the rim and got in our body. And Powell's he's been really so. And then they've got others. And then defensively, I mean, John, so we play Kentucky, who leads the nation in tempo. They're the fastest playing team in the country at Western Kentucky. And then we play, by contrast, a team like UTEP, who leads the nation in forced turnovers. So the variance in styles and different challenges that this league has presented, it's been something to get used to. So I hope, heck, after 8 months worth of league play, I hope we're at our best come this Thursday evening.
Do you feel like that Western Kentucky game, the win and the way that you guys won that with the, coming down to the very end, does that give you any kind of momentum going into the tournament?
I hope so, Will. I don't know. Are you coming to Huntsville? Because maybe it was you being in the building that carried us across it. And where is Nick Kirby tonight? Like, what's going on?
Spring training with the Reds. What can we do?
Okay. All right. I'll give him the pass. I think anytime you win, it helps your belief. But this group, man, and John, you've been around us long enough to know, like they stay the same. Like I think in a lot of locker rooms, like this is the time of year, especially when you haven't met your own expectations or even expectations of others. I think it's a chance that you could fracture a bit and lose your belief and lose your connectivity. And like our group hasn't done it. Like they believe, they come to work every day. There's still smiles on their faces. We know there's things that we're not, and we're addressing those best we can. But there's some things too that we are. And I think, again, that's what I allude to when I say, like, if we can play in our identity and what makes us successful, and you've seen that template over the years, I think it gives us a chance in any game.
Well, Coach, I'll be honest with you. After that game Tuesday night at Middle Tennessee, I was stressed out a lot those next few days because when I made my plans to make it down to Huntsville this coming week, I never anticipated that Liberty could potentially be in that playing game. So I wasn't going to be there Tuesday night. And I was like, oh, no, I got this planned trip and plan booked and for this trip. And we might not even get to see the Flames play. And I was stressing out a little bit. But fortunately, you guys pulled it out on Saturday, and we sweated out a couple of other outcomes Saturday afternoon. You guys got the 4 seed, which, as much up and down as it's been some this season, I think that's a testament to what this program has been and what you've built over the last 5 or 6 years. And appreciate you taking a few minutes tonight to join us. I know you're busy, and hopefully you can get some sleep tonight and the next couple of nights before we play on Thursday.
Yeah, John, I'm glad we didn't ruin your vacation plans.
Well, hey, it's a vacation, but anytime I can plan my vacation around Liberty basketball or Liberty athletics, it's the best kind of vacation.
Yeah, well, you guys are great. You, Will, Nick, you guys, again, I get it. It's the Sea of Red podcast, and fans, they want you to win every game. But I think the way you've helped brand our program and the conversation that is much more edifying than not. I think that it's one of the reasons why this is such a special place to coach. And look, we feel good about where we are. Again, we won't be perfect, but we, like I said the other day, John, in the press conference, our pursuits are staying vertical and not just horizontal. I think when you operate out of that spirit of joy and gratitude, I think it makes everyone around you feel a little bit better about the way they experience you. And I hope our program exudes that. And hey, we're excited. Flames Nation will be, at least some of you will be in the building, because we're going to need all the support on Wednesday for the ladies and then Thursday night for us.
John, we've heard a lot about over the years coaches old shooting tapes and things like that. But one thing I saw, we've heard about his shooting skills, but the way that he can handle a press conference with a grandchild on his lap is pretty incredible. And we know that the conference tournament means it's the end of the season. But we know that you're probably anxious to spend some off-season time with that grandbaby of yours. But we do want to push that back a few weeks, Coach.
Yeah, I feel you. Look, AJ's coming with us if we keep playing. So, and if we're in the championship game, which would, I don't know, be what, John?
Saturday night.
7 if we get there, 5 out of 6, 6 out of 7.
Yeah.
If we're in that, I'm bringing him in the press conference. So,
hey, thanks, Coach. Thanks for
it.
joining us. Appreciate you. We'll see you down in Huntsville.
Okay, see you.
Hey, Flames Nation, this is Kyle Rode.
This is Rachel Roop.
This is Kato Salter.
We would just want to say thank you for supporting athletes like us through the Flames Rising Collective.
The Flames Rising Collective is a registered 501c3, providing opportunities for student athletes to use their name, image, and likeness while serving our local community.
100% of everything contributed to the collective will go directly to creating name, image, and likeness opportunities for Liberty student athletes.
Help us be champions for Christ and champions on the field. Flames.
Matt Warner joins us now. We're just keep them rolling. We saved the best for last. Larry Blair, Coach McKay, and now the voice of the Flames on TV, Matt Warner.
Listen, this is tough following Richie McKay. All right, I want you guys to know. I don't know how many folks you have viewing right now, but the number's probably dropping drastically as we speak. As soon as Richie logs off, they're like, okay, why do I need to stick around any longer? But no, thank you guys. I appreciate you having me on.
Hey,
thanks for having us. Thanks for
John.
joining us.
John, I hyped up Larry Blair a lot, but let me hype up Matt Warner for a second, because in the house we have the best Liberty basketball announcer that we have had in program history. I mean, nobody brings the enthusiasm like Matt Warner does. I cringe when we're not playing on ESPN Plus and we got these CBS games. And some of these national games, and it's cool to have that exposure, but I mean, they don't have Matt Warner, and so it's difficult to really get into it.
I appreciate that. That's really nice of you. We have a lot of great people that are all a part of it for sure.
Well, a good thing, Will, is Matt and Naz, they're going down to Huntsville, going to call some basketball. You'll be down there, Tuesday night for the play-in game, and then also all the quarterfinal games. Is that correct?
Yeah, we'll have the 5 games in 3 days, starting Tuesday night with that playing game. So we fly down tomorrow morning. Matt and Naz on the road. I don't think we've done a road game. Radford, strangely enough, would let us come broadcast there from time to time. I think that's the last time we've done a game outside of Liberty Arena or the Vines. So yeah, we're looking forward to getting down there.
So 5 games in 3 days. What's that like for a broadcaster? I mean, you taking extra cough drops or what you doing?
Yeah, I have no idea. I've never done it before. So it's always been the dream since I was a kid going to the Big 8 tournament in Kansas City. I'd always be like, man, this would be so cool to broadcast a whole tournament. And so we're getting the chance to do it, and I'm glad they're trusting us, and just hope we don't blow it.
Listen, for a lot of these broadcasts, not the ones you guys do, but when Liberty's on the road and they're playing at some of these places, the pronunciation of last names that should be relatively easy seem to come difficult.
Matheny.
I mean, do you spend time do you just ask someone? Do you ask like a SID, like, hey, how do you pronounce this name? Like, how does that work? Yeah. And why aren't more of these road broadcasters doing this?
I don't know. Can't speak for them, but yeah, it is pretty easy. I mean, you just ask either a broadcaster or an SID. I'll usually go back and watch previous games so that you hear how people say it. But then sometimes you even get like Western Kentucky, Babacar Faye. Well, they have it like on the pronunciation, they have it Babacar Fa, but then at Charleston, they call them Babacar Phi. And so you talk to their guys and they're like, yeah, he says all three too. So this is what we go with. So yeah, it's just ask around. It's not as difficult as it can look sometimes.
Well, I'm
but
glad
I appreciate
90%.
those guys though, because it gives me great job security. That's the way I look at it. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah. Bill Smith, the SIDs at Liberty and other sports, other schools as well. I'm sure they're the unspoken heroes, but I'm glad I don't have to verbalize most of these guys' names 90% of the time. It's nice to not have to do that. But Matt, you've obviously got a close look at Liberty this season and the last couple of years, and as well as the other Conference USA teams. Calling those games as they've come into Liberty Arena this year, and I'm sure watching some of them as well on TV when Liberty's on the road or other games in your nights off. But is this as balanced of a league as Liberty's been a part of that you've seen the last 6, 7, 8 years?
Oh, without a doubt. Because you think about some of those like years in the ASUN where it was like Liberty, Lipscomb, and then a huge gap in everybody else, or Liberty, Kennesaw, and then a big gap. Like I've heard different takes on even this matchup for Liberty in the first round of this tournament and saying, oh, that's a good draw. Like, I don't know that there was a team Liberty could have drawn that I would have felt comfortable with. You know what I mean? Like top to bottom, like every team scares you in some way. There's a lot of different styles throughout the league. Obviously, we've seen the size and athleticism that's at another level in Conference USA compared to what Liberty has seen in the ASUN. So yeah, this is by far the most balanced. And you look at it, you could kind of talk yourself into 4 or 5 different teams, I think, winning this thing if you really kind of get into it. So yeah, it's wide open, which makes, for a really exciting time down there, and it could go any number of ways here in the next few days.
Yeah, it's just crazy to me that, John alluded to this or said this earlier that, depending on the way that Western Kentucky game goes, you're looking at 4 seed or you're looking at 8 seed, and just the disparity of that. But, in the tournament situation on, neutral court, it does feel like you kind of throw all that away. But how much time, before this week do you spend in prep just going back and watching some of these other teams? Because I'm sure like us, you've only seen these teams twice, or at least once. So
yeah, and some of those, like, we didn't even get to call because CBS took them. So then you're just trying to watch a lot of games. And I was in the gym for those 2 games as well, just to try to take them in. But yeah, it's just a lot of updating notes, prep, going back. Like, I remember what they were, early in the year. What do they look like now? How has that changed? Who's playing better than they were then or playing more? And so it's just a lot of updating and kind of going back. But this season has been so fun. And that's been part of the beauty of this conference. Like I want to watch games. Like, you get back after Liberty's game yesterday, I'm flipping on the other Conference USA games. We're watching all of those at home. You want to kind of keep up with it because it's been so tight. It seems like so many of these games come down to the final 2 or 3 possessions that it makes you want to watch all the more. And then for us, it helps you kind of prepare as well, just getting to see them on a weekly basis.
So Liberty got the 4 seed. They'll take on 5 seed UTEP on Thursday evening, if you want to call it that. What's it, 5:30 Central Time, I think is when it tips, 6:30 Eastern, I believe. And you'll be on the call for that as well as Naz. We saw UTEP not too long ago in Liberty Arena. They kind of put it to Liberty, and it was one of those games that was kind of like what just happened. Liberty had, I think, 9 assists, 17 turnovers, both season high / season low on the year, and didn't shoot it well. Pretty much the whole team struggled offensively, and UTEP, they got some big guards like you see all across this conference, and they really were kind of able to kind of get in the paint and drive and attack Liberty's guards and able to score. But it was really on the defensive end. It seemed like they really frustrated Liberty. What do the Flames have to do to kind of flip that around on Thursday?
Yeah, I think it's going to take a performance kind of like we saw on Saturday, right? Not saying that Kyle Rote has to have a match a career high, but you're going to have to hit double-digit threes. You're going to have somebody go off. You could think back to that first win over UTEP on the road. That was Naz and I called it the Caden Matheny over my dead body game, right? It felt like he was just dragging the Flames along at some points and just refusing to let them lose that game. But, yeah, the concern is those big guards. Corey Camper went for a career high. Zid Powell is a big physical guard that gave the Flames problems. And guarding them, like, you can only do so much. Matheny, Porter, they can only do so much on that end. So you've got to knock down threes. I think for them to win that game, you got to go double-digit threes, and then you got to keep the turnovers, which have been an issue now for 3 straight games. I think Liberty averaging over 15 turnovers a game over the last 3. If you can keep it in like the 12 range and get double-digit threes, I think you can come out on top in this one, but it is going to be tough. I mean, the book is out. Everybody in the league knows, and you see it on a nightly basis now. It's just basically teams picking, who do we want to attack? Do we want to attack Matheny? Do we want to attack Porter? Which matchup do we like better with what's usually a bigger guard? And you see that happening, a lot in this conference this season. And so, yeah, for the Flames, you got to knock down threes. I know it's kind of maybe oversimplifying it in some ways, but I think you have to have double-digit threes if they're going to come out on top of this one.
Yeah. Also shifting gears a little bit with the tournament, evidently the preseason polls mean nothing. Because, Liberty was tied with Middle Tennessee State for, preseason favorite. And Sam Houston, I think, kind of shocked all of us. And, I was expecting for them to kind of maybe fall off a little bit. And then, they never did. If, assuming they get past FIU or Jackson State and we get past UTEP, Sam Houston, is looming large there. What are your thoughts about Sam Houston kind of being able to finish with that number 1 seed and just how they've maybe exceeded expectations this year?
Yeah, I've been really surprised with them. Like, I did not expect them to go into Ruston and beat Louisiana Tech on the road. I mean, La Tech was hyping that game all week long. Like that there's a lot on the line there. That surprised me. Lamar Wilkerson, David Barnes, both, again, 2 physical guards that give the Flames problems, but they give a lot of people problems. Having said that, though, all things considered, I would still, if you said I got to pick who do I think is going to win this thing, I would still lean towards Louisiana Tech. I still think top to bottom, they're the best team in this conference, and I would still lean towards them winning this thing. But, yeah, Sam Houston has overachieved for sure. And like coaches say every year, preseason polls, they don't mean anything. Yeah, this year that was especially true because I don't think anybody had any idea what to expect from Liberty making the move, from Jacksonville State making the move, Sam Houston. Like, nobody knew what to expect. It was kind of all off of reputation. And it has been, made it exciting to see, kind of going in blind, not knowing what to expect from different programs. And Sam Houston, all credit to them. They've had an incredible year.
Yeah, I think Sam Houston, they've shocked me. I mean, they started winning a few games, stringing together a few wins, and it became obvious they were going to finish, 1, 2, 3, somewhere in there. But I expected them to have a few more losses than they did. And like you said, I never expected they'd go down to Louisiana Tech, put up a win in their gym with that 1 seed basically on the line at that point in time. Yeah. So it was impressive to see, especially after we saw what Liberty did to them back in January, I guess it was. I felt like the Flames kind of dominated, controlled that game. And obviously the opposite happened in Huntsville, Texas, when Liberty made the trip down there. But I really do think, I don't know about UTEP, seeing what Liberty did or had done to them against the Miners not too long ago on their home floor. I'm not sure that I would say that's a good draw or a good matchup or somebody you were hoping to play. Yeah. I was maybe hoping for a Middle Tennessee or New Mexico State. I thought Liberty might match up better with one of those two in that 4 or 5 game in the quarterfinals. But other than that, I do think this is a good draw for the Flames. I mean, you don't have to play Louisiana Tech. I mean, you look at Crawford and Bacho and what they bring to the table. I mean, I don't think anybody wants to play them. So if you don't have to play them till potentially a finals matchup, and I think that's good for the Flames. Jacksonville State, is a team Liberty's 0-2 against, but they slid all the way down to the 8 seed after they lost at Sam Houston on Saturday afternoon. So they would have to beat FIU and then Sam Houston. So I think Liberty would be fine if they played Jacksonville State in the semis at that point in time. But it really feels like it's a good draw for the Flames, all things considered.
Yeah, I'm with you. If I had to pick, I'd rather see the Flames match up against Sam Houston. Like Bacho is just a guy that you don't want to run into. You mentioned Crawford. And then the guy that people don't talk about as much, Talik Chavez, he's the X factor on all this, and he's why I would pick them to win this tournament. He's been the best percentage 3-point shooter in conference play in the entire league. And so, yeah, they have that 3-headed monster might be better than anybody else, any other 3 players in the conference. So I'm with you. You don't want to, picking Sam Houston. They're tough. Don't get me wrong. But like between the two, I think the Flames, that's a better matchup for them.
Are there, for both of y'all, are there any other games besides the Liberty one that you're looking forward to? I mean, we've mentioned Louisiana Tech and against Middle Tennessee State, and every tournament's got some upsets that you don't expect to happen. Is there one matchup you guys are looking at that you say, hey, that could be the upset right there?
If you had asked me 2 weeks ago who I thought could make a deep run and really, potentially win it, I would have said Western Kentucky with the way that they score it. But right now, with the way that they're reeling, I think New Mexico State's going to beat them in that game. It wouldn't surprise me at all. They're not as talented. They don't have the players that Western Kentucky has. But Western Kentucky has not played defense in 2 weeks. Just the sense from talking to their coach Steve Lutz, he's not real thrilled with the focus and the way his team's practicing right now. And I think they've had a lot of adversity here lately. Some of it officials, some of it just a lot of tight games that have not gone their way. And I almost get the sense with them it could be a team that the offseason would be a relief for them at this point. It just seems like it's been such a struggle for them lately. So that wouldn't surprise me at all to see New Mexico State beat them, even though Western Kentucky, again, if they put it all together, they are incredibly dangerous. Nobody scores the way they do. Don McHenry is one of the best guards in the conference, but I wouldn't surprise me just the way Western Kentucky's been going the last couple of weeks if they end up losing that first game.
It's interesting, looking at the bracket, and we've talked so much about how there's so much parity in the league, and these teams are so balanced. Should be chaos in Huntsville and all these sort of things. But as I start going through it, I'm like, I don't know. A 4 or 5, it's kind of like a coin flip anyway. So either one wins. I don't think you'd really be shocked. I don't see Sam Houston losing, playing a team that's coming off a play-in game in that 8-9 game. I would expect them to win. Although I do think Jacksonville State would really give them a game. I think that would be an entertaining game. I don't see Louisiana Tech losing in the 2-7 to Middle.
I will say this, though. Middle, and I agree with you. I've just talked up Louisiana Tech. But Justin Porter and Coleman Jones, Porter's one of those guys. He went for 41 in a game earlier this year. He's an explosive kind of player, and you have a big body in Coleman Jones, and you have the quick turnaround too. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but they have some of the firepower, and they've been playing a lot better in the second half of the conference season. That if there was going to be just one massive upset, I would say that could be it, just because Porter, Coleman Jones, and Elias King's not a bad player either. Those guys might be able to pull it off. Wouldn't pick it, but they have some firepower. So if it's the right night, they could make it interesting.
Matt, is there one game that you're kind of looking forward to calling the most? Take the Liberty game out of it. Is there one game you're like, man, I can't wait to watch this one?
Oh, man, I don't even know. It's just all of them. Honestly, the first one, I guess, just because you don't know what to expect there. You have two really different teams. FIU, I know it sounds crazy to say FIU, Jacksonville State, but FIU's really up-tempo, fast-paced, want to go. Jacksonville State, one of the slower teams in the country. Kiki Tandy, one of the best scorers in the conference. So I am curious to see how that goes, because it does feel like, think back to the NCAA tournament. It seems like you get that team that plays in the first 4 game that gets by, and then suddenly they're feeling a little bit of rhythm, right? They're kind of into the flow. What could happen? I think Jacksonville State probably wins that first game. What happens then the next day? They've got a little rhythm to them. They come out, play Sam Houston that's been sitting there for a couple of days. Maybe it ends up turning into something. So that first game and just kind of how that kind of sorts itself out, I am really looking forward to that one, even though I don't know how many people are going to be watching the 8-9 play-in game.
I'll be watching.
I'm glad. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah.
The last few games, there was a really a good stretch here of the season where it seemed like Caden Matheny was carrying this team on his back. And over the last few games, maybe defense has been keying in on him a little bit more and his ability to drive to the basket. For Liberty to be successful here, Matt, is there one guy that you think, hey, this is the guy that's going to have to step up and just really have a good tournament?
I think it obviously, I think you got to say Kyle Rode first and foremost has to play up to his numbers this year. He has to play up to his averages. I think you need that. And remember, in that first game against UTEP, he scored 1 point in that game. I think he was 0 of 7 shooting in that contest out there. So he's got to be himself. But then I would say the big key for them too is one of the two guys off the bench, Brody Peebles or Shiloh Robinson, who's been playing his best basketball of the season the last week and a half. One of those two guys has to be a solid contributor. They don't have to give you 20, but you better get double digits out of Brody, or you better get 8 and 6 out of Shiloh. I feel like one of those guys has to give you something off the bench to kind of add into what the starters are going to do. But the big thing, I mean, it's just the two keys, right? And it's the things that coaches say all the time: limit the turnovers, knock down threes. Like, those are the things I feel like for the Flames. You do those two things, and you're going to be in the game and have a great chance to win.
Yeah, it seems like it's pretty simple for Liberty, but the game plan's one thing. You got to go out and execute it.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it just comes down to you got to hit shots, and that's just the way it goes. But it should be a lot of fun. Looking forward to listening to you on Tuesday night, and I'll be down there for the quarterfinals. So see you down there, and hopefully the Flames. We got a special guest joining us. What's up, Nick?
What's up, fellas? No idea if you can hear me.
I hear you. We can hear you.
Just popping in for a second. I probably won't have good reception in between Phoenix and Vegas. So,
listen, do I need to draft Ellie De La Cruz in my fantasy league? Give me the scoop here. What's going on?
First overall. Okay,
all right, good. Done.
Don't even hesitate. You
don't get Marte. Don't get Marte.
Yeah, Marte might be a bad choice.
So Nick, what's your call this week? You got the Flames Conference USA Tournament, 4 seed going against 5 seed UTEP on Thursday. What are you thinking?
Oh, smoke them. I mean, look, this is tournament time. This is Richie McKay time. I love the draw. I think it's a good draw for the boys. UTEP is interesting just because they force so many turnovers, but I don't know. This is a good draw. You're on the different side of La Tech and Western Kentucky. I think they got as good of a chance as anyone to win 3 games and get back in the dance and completely flip the narrative on the whole season.
What was it like watching Liberty on Saturday with the backdrop of the Grand Canyon? I saw your tweet there. Were you looking at the Grand Canyon, or were you just watching the Flames?
Most of the Flames, but then the internet went out, so you don't get a whole lot of great reception for ESPN Plus. But hey, Matt Warner and the Grand Canyon. I mean, does it get any better than that?
2 of the natural wonders of the world, right? Yeah.
Yeah. All right, boys. Well, I won't hijack your show. I just want to say hi. Matt, you're the man. Love seeing you on here. I can't wait to go back and watch this again. But yeah, go Flames.
All right. Thanks, Nick. Glad to have you join. Nick is, he's on the road covering the Reds in spring